Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to the second episode of the Coasting Cast. Alright, I know I said I would try to get these out once a week. I know I said this would try to be a regular thing. But you see, as a college student, things get busy. Shit happens, my fellow people. So, today, I apologize for this episode taking a month to come out. But I will just refrain from making promises about doing it again or when the next episode will come out. Because if I'm being honest, I'm going to use this podcast honestly as a way to kind of vent or just step away from things. Today, we've got a few different things. We're going to be talking about a few good current events. Some of that might include what's going on in the world right now, or probably include some professional sports again, just because there are a few I follow pretty heavily. Then we're gonna, dive deep down, figure some things out, talk about people again, some philosophy, some personal philosophy. So, let's get into it. Let's start off with some world events. I don't know if you guys saw this, but the conflict between Russia and Ukraine still going on. I must say, like at this around or in 2022, when this whole thing started, when Russia, kind of started with the military offense in Ukraine, I was surprised that the events were going on so kind of smoothly. It seemed as though no one was going to do anything about it. The fact that it's still happening, or it's still ongoing, that's what really gets me. The fact that tension between the two have increased again, especially here recently. There's reports that some of the Russian troops, massing near the borders, and then the Ukraine government they've accused Russia of planning multiple invasions. There's videos of the Ukraine president leader, basically saying that things aren't going that well. So it's just interesting. Another thing involving Russia in terms of world events is this whole BRICS thing, or BRICS summit. I don't know if you all saw this, but Vladimir Putin, Russia's president, he met with, who was it? Because BRICS is an acronym for let's see. I believe it was Russia, China, India, Brazil, and South Africa. The leaders of those countries met. Basically, I believe the goal is their own currency, because I know that those same countries have basically said that they will try to do without the U.S. currency, the U.S. dollar. They're going to be trying to stay away from that, which will be interesting. It might suck a little bit. We've seen all kinds of things with the U.S. dollar, the U.S. currency value anyway. The U.S. economy, due to some of the late inflation and really just how things are looking, the economy could use some correction. So while, yes, I'm sure that possibly BRICS could affect the U.S. dollar value, I wouldn't worry too much about it. But then again, this is a personal proclamation. If you're worried about it, ignore what I'm saying. I'm just saying that I'm not going to put too much thought to it. They don't pay me the big bucks. They don't pay me enough. Don't get paid enough to worry about it. Although I must say, this might go a little towards the sort of philosophical portion, but I will say, we'll just get back on world event topics really quickly after this. But I just gotta say, even if, let's say, this supposed new currency were to take off in value and potentially lower the U.S. dollar value, because likely there'd be fewer countries buying exports from the U.S. if the US dollar value were to drop, things would obviously get hard at first. But you know what they say, hard times create strong men create good times create weak men create bad times, and so on. Bad times create strong men. You know how it goes. I just said it. My point with this saying is that even if the US dollar value were to fall, or even if it was something as simple as the US losing some of its world power, things would suck at first. Things would definitely get hard. But, things would definitely pick back up after a point in time where there was enough time for a correction, enough time for a reset. Not necessarily a reset, but enough time for action to be taken to fix things. So, yes, it does sound a little simple to just basically say, don't worry about it, everything will be okay. But you really got to look at it one of two ways. It either isn't okay, and you're going to be so busy you won't be able to worry, or it will be okay and there'll be no reason to worry. So again, I wouldn't worry too much about it. If there is, let's say, a currency collapse, then there's not much you can do about it besides be the best you can be on your own, because if things seem to begin to falter, I suppose, you should really consider sitting down and trying to make the best of it. If you were to invest when let's say if there was a downturn in the economy, if you were to invest at the time, you would potentially at some point hit a bottom. So you'd be buying at the bottom. When things started to get good again, those would go up. So if you were to get into stocks, you could have more money coming out of this downtime. Also, even if it doesn't get that bad, even if it's something simple like you have to work more hours, that's just something. There are hard times that make good times. It's just how things are. You can't have all good times or all bad times. You need both. So, yes, things might get more difficult than some things at certain times. Some times will be more difficult than others. Sometimes will be better than others too. You just got to take it as it comes. And one thing I really want to say with how some of these world events are going is just some things are out of our grasps. Some things are out of our control. But even if everything, or even if something that is close to us is occurred or is affected by something we can't change, we still need to look at the positive and see what we can fix about it. If it's something we can't fix, if it's something we can't handle, if it's something we know we can't do anything about, we need to kind of look away from it a little bit, look a little more inward and see what we can fix. That's where kind of what we're doing as a person can come into play. Now, let's keep going with some of those world events that I was talking about. Kind of step away from, we'll come back to the philosophical stuff again, because I will try to make, or at least form some kind of connection to myself, just so I feel it helps me better understand things. But something, again, kind of going back to some more of these world events that I'd like to talk about is this crazy weather. This is going to sound weird. This is going to sound like a dad conversation, just something weird to kind of bring up. Some weird ass weather lately, man. I know that's something weird to complain about. It's, again, something we cannot control. So something that I guess within the, we were talking about world events, something within the United States, a little more national news, not so much world news, is that we've had some weird weather. Maybe it's just here in Kentucky, because you know what they say, if you're in Kentucky and you don't like the weather, just wait till tomorrow. It'll be different. Things are always different here. It's April, so some of this change could be the transition to spring from winter. But I don't remember it being exactly like this when I was younger. But then again, I don't remember a lot of things. So it could just be, the change in season. But something kind of, I guess, extreme for this country is we've been experiencing severe storms, flooding, and just, I guess, fluctuating temperature changes. Really weird. Some of the areas, it's been unusually hot or unusually high for the temperatures, and then in others it's been unusually low. There has been a lot of the at least here on campus, maybe it's potentially because Earth Day is coming up, which of course Earth Day is an important day to celebrate, but maybe, usually these topics go hand in hand when one is occurring. So I'm saying I feel like I've been seeing more about climate change lately, mainly because it is close to Earth Day, but at the same time it is an issue that must be addressed. So it coming up now isn't necessarily a bad thing. But some of these patterns or reoccurring issues that seem to be coming from climate change is these weird weather phenomena, I guess you could say. Like, for example, just this past week, it went from I want to say low 40s to just a day or two later being in the 80s, close to 90s, going from 40s to high 80s. It's rough. Your body doesn't have time to get used to it. You know what I mean? It goes from I'm freezing cold to it is blistering hot, and there isn't much of an in between these two times. It's interesting. There was here on campus, we had a wind advisory not too long ago, and the wind got so bad that there was a tree that fell over here on campus. We were having just genuine issues around things here. There was just so many things happening weather-wise here on campus that it affected our daily living. So I kind of figured this could be something we could, I could bring up, see if some of you guys are experiencing these same sort of things and just feel it's off. I feel it's off. So, just something to kind of bring up. Again, I can't do a whole lot about it. So I try to educate myself on the issue, but then when the thing that I can do about it isn't as direct, I tend to shy away from the topic. But this is one I just wanted to kind of like, if you guys are feeling it's a little weird, it's not just you, it might just be me. We'll see. But no, things aren't too terrible. Just wanted to kind of bring attention to the, I guess, weird patterns that we're seeing, because again, some days it doesn't feel like spring, and then other days it's still 30-40 degrees. But we'll see. I think we're getting to a time where we're going to see more rain, and the warmer temperatures are kind of here to stay for a little while. But who am I? I'm not Mother Nature. I can't tell you that for a fact. I'm just telling you what I feel is about to happen, and I feel that some of the weather is at least some of the severe changes are going to slow down. Especially with it again becoming spring, we might see more of the severe storms or the severe flooding because of rainfall, but we'll have to see. It kind of depends on how much moisture we have in general. And again, I know that this might seem like a weird topic, but just saying, if I've had the thought, I'm sure at least one other person has. So maybe someone else feels this, it's been a little weird, but maybe not so much that it's been weird, but it has at least significantly impacted some people, maybe more towards me, like southeastern U.S. But we'll see. It's just, I know it's impacted someone, so it could be brought up. Especially with power outages, some road closures, and just damage to buildings, homes, businesses. It's definitely been an issue for some, and assistance to those, or if the assistance that has been given out to those, extremely grateful for. I'm glad that there are people that are able to help, but just an interesting issue because it feels like there isn't much I can do about the immediate weather, but then when you really look into it, there are things you could do to help in the future, like watching out for climate change and doing what you can do that's best for the environment is something that's really kind of advised here as well. So I guess kind of going back to what I was saying in the previous session, or the previous topic, is that even if it doesn't seem like you can do something about something, there are times when you can do something so that it isn't an issue in the future. So I guess, really look into your battles. If there is something you can do, even if it is just prevent it from being an issue in the future, do that. But if there really is nothing you can do about it, it might be time to get in the back seat and just let things go or flow. You know what I mean? Okay, now let's kind of shy away from the... I feel like I'm getting a little negative. I was sounding a little negative. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next topic that I had talked about discussing earlier. And it was one that I had brought up on the first episode, but we had really... It wasn't necessarily the most popular portion of the podcast, but it was kind of an interesting one to get into for me because I'm a big sports follower. A lot of people are. Sports are something that people use to distract themselves, myself included. So something I wanted to get into is the current look at the NBA playoffs for 2023, the bracket. Because, play-in tournament, the play-ins is over. So we have our set playoff bracket. In the Eastern Conference, we are looking at... in the Eastern Conference, we are looking at the Nets. I'm going to pull up the conference real quick, actually. All right, in the Eastern Conference, we're looking at the Nets, the Bucks, and the Miami Heat is your top contenders. In the West, we're seeing the Warriors, the Suns, the Jazz, and the Lakers. The Lakers are I'm interested to see how they do in this year's tournament. So let's take a look at some of these groupings. For playoffs, round 1, we got the Nuggets facing the Timberwolves. We got the Suns facing the Clippers. Then the Kings and the Warriors. And the Grizzlies and the Lakers. Heading on over, we got the Bucks playing the Heat. The Cavs playing the Knicks. The Sixers playing the Nets. And the Celtics playing the Hawks. Alright, so let's get into it. With the Nuggets, we've got Jokic and Jamal Murray. Timberwolves, Rudy Gobert, if he is to play, considering he was sent home from the last game. We've got Cats over there. We've got Anthony Edwards. A solid, potential solid team, but I think the chemistry between the Nuggets is really going to show through. This team that, this team that had to fight to even get in the playoffs, nearly losing it in the play-ins. I think the Nuggets are going to take it over the Timberwolves. Suns-Lakers is going to be very interesting. We've got, KD thought he probably thought he was going to get an easy championship going to the Suns, but no, we're going to have to see what they and Devin Booker and Chris Paul, we're going to have to see what they can do to really push the Clippers, because they got PG-13 over there. They got Paul George, they got Kawhi, they got Russ. It is a very strong team. This is going to be close, but I do think the Suns are going to take it over the Clippers. Now, Kings-Warriors, I'm going to predict an upset. I think the Warriors will take it over the 3-seed Kings. I think Steph, Poole, I think even Clay might step it up for the playoff time. And I'm going to predict another I'm going to predict another upset for the Lakers-Grizzlies. I predict the Lakers to win. And then I say Celtics beat Hawks. I think Sixers beat Nets. I think Cavs beat Knicks. And then I think Bucks beat Heat. From there, I'm not entirely sure, but I'm going to be honest. I think I would like to see... I'm going to be honest. I'd like to see the Lakers win it all. The Lakers have really kind of turned things around post-trade deadline. So I'd really like to see with what like this continuously like improving roster would do through the playoffs. I'd like to see Devin Booker finally get him a ring from the Suns. I mean, I'd like to see Donovan Mitchell get him one with the Cavs. There's a Jamal Murray, another player from Kentucky. I'd like to see him get one with the Nuggets. Shoot, there was a Kentucky player on most of these teams, or a University of Kentucky player on most of these teams. So that's something else I'd like to. I'm rooting mainly for the players I know, and a lot of those are people I've seen go through the University of Kentucky into the NBA. So that's another thing. I root for all Kentucky players, or I root for the teams that have Kentucky players on them, if that makes any sense. But yeah, those are my predictions for this first round. Again, I'd like to see, I'd like to see either the Lakers or the Suns get themselves a ring for this tournament. That's something I think that'd be extremely interesting. Something that would bring a lot of views to the NBA would be either another Lakers win, LeBron getting him another win, or Devin Booker getting him his first. You know, the Suns did lose to the Bucks for a championship in the finals previously, so it'd be nice to see them finally get them another one, or finally get them one too. Just some interesting events, including these playoffs occurring. All right, I am not able to talk about current events without going over how things are going for me. This might sound selfish, but while I am talking about current events, not everything is happening on a world or a national scale. Sometimes things that occur to you can seem like big events to you. So, if there's anything big that's happened to you all that you just want to share, you can do it in the comments. Comment below something that has happened, or an event that you'd like to share, but something regularly occurring. Here for me is the pursuit to get better. Again, like I talked about in the first episode, Coast and Cast, the name comes from a brand I'm trying to develop called Coastline Labz. So huge potential there. I would like to at least hopefully venture into more things as things progress. I'd like to look into getting like maybe potentially sleeves, like lifting sleeves, or mainly ones for your joints, that maybe some knee sleeves, elbow sleeves, that kind of stuff for joint protection. Kind of your energy for a workout could be protected if you had sleeves. That's why I'm trying to follow the theme of energy with Coastline Labz. We're gonna look into eventually doing shaker cups as well. Give you something to drink our energy formula out of. And then I suppose big announcement with this Coastline Labz stuff. Big announcement is that the prices are dropping majorly for Coastline Labz. The only product we have out currently right now that is ready to be sold is our energy supplement Thermal Heat. It's a fruit punch flavored pre-workout activity. It'll give you energy for any activity, including studying, because we've got the base ingredients are all amino acids. So it is a pretty healthy drink, but we're trying to bring you natural energy, natural focus, natural hydration, things like that. But the price has dropped to $20 per tub, which in my opinion, it's a great deal, considering you get 30 servings, a month's supply of energy for $20. It's not that bad, really. I try my damnedest to make sure the integrity of the company, the words we give, the statements we put out, along with the quality of item match up. So I'm really like this. We've been together for Coastline Labz has been going now for a year, so it's been kind of like me trying to find my footing this first year. And I think as I'm now finally starting to do that successfully, I think I have also found the right price to pair with the product, as well as the quality of other statements and just things put out. So I think $20 will now be the set price for our thermal heat. You can buy that online or from me directly if you're in my personal community. But yeah, it's just kind of something I wanted to put out, because I did say it won't be a podcast about Coastline Labz, but I will at least address it. So thank you guys for the second episode. Any feedback you have is great to hear, and thank you so much, guys. I'll hopefully see you in an episode here again pretty soon, but we'll just have to see you guys.